أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد كما صليت على سيدنا إبراهيم وعلى آل سيدنا إبراهيم، وبارك على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد كما باركت على سيدنا إبراهيم وعلى آل سيدنا إبراهيم في العالمين إنك حميد مجيد. By the barakah of Sidi Shaykh, Sidi Mohamed Faouzi Karkari قدس الله سره. Notes from the Mudhakara of December 31st, 2020. Before starting this video, I would like to state that this work would never have seen the light without Sidi Shaykh. If something is wrong, it will be from myself, and everything that is correct is from Sidi Shaykh. In this Mudhakara, Sidi Shaykh Qaddasallahu Sirrah spoke about the real meaning of love, mahaba. He said that supererogatory acts of worship, nawafil, are not the units of prayer that one performs before and after the obligatory prayers or the sadaqah, charity that he gives. In fact, when someone performs these acts, he may be thinking only about rewards, ajr, and his acts are not dedicated solely to Allah, lillah. Sidi Shaykh emphasized that in the path of Allah, one should forget about the rewards. While rewards are not necessarily a negative aspect, Sidi Shaykh suggested that they should not be the focus of the disciple. Instead, the disciple should strive to attain the ultimate truth, which is the real meaning of mahaba, of love, and this requires that all of the disciples' acts should be supererogatory acts of worship. Sidi Shaykh went on to explain that mahaba, love for Allah, is built on two fundamental aspects: beauty, al-jamal, and peace, as-salam. If the disciple is able to see beauty, jamal, in everything, then all of his actions become supererogatory acts of worship. This means that he does not have to limit himself to performing ablutions and facing to the Qibla to perform a nafila or a supererogatory act of worship. Sidi Shaykh made this mudhakara while traveling with his disciples by car. He gave the example of the driver and explained that the driver should not see his driving as merely an act to please the Shaykh or to make him happy. Instead, he should view it as an act to reach the love of Allah. With this way of thinking, there will be happiness in one's life because all of his movements are intended to bring him closer to Allah. There are no specific rules or protocols to follow. The only thing that matters is to see beauty and peace in all creatures of Allah Azza wa Jal. Sidi Shaykh Qaddasallahu Sirrah added that no creature of Allah can ever completely attain the love of Allah, because He is the first with no beginning, the last and everlasting. So how can one reach His love? What one should do is to get as close to Allah as much as Allah wanted him to, through nawafil. Sidi Shaykh referred here to the Hadith Qudsi, and my servant continues to draw near to me with supererogatory acts of worship until I love him. When I love him, I become his hearing with which he hears, his sight with which he sees, his hand with which he strikes, and his foot with which he walks. Sidi Shaykh explained how one can see beauty in everything he sees. He said that this is realized when the person can see the divine light as a star, as a niche, as a lamp, in all objects and creatures. Only at that moment can he say that his supererogatory acts of worship, nawafil, were accepted because Allah gave him a sign. But it's only in the moment he saw the light. Then Sidi Shaykh spoke about peace, as-salam. He said that the Prophet ﷺ said, "Spread the greetings of salam amongst yourselves. Afshu salama baynakum." By spreading greetings, it's not just saying the word of peace, of salam, to someone while thinking poorly of him. And it's the same with all creatures. One should spread peace with water, sand, and so on. He should not hurt them or do harm to them. For example, He shouldn't cut trees or plants, nor waste water during ablutions. All of this is peace with creatures of Allah. Sidi Shaykh explained that those two foundations, Aslain, beauty and peace, are not love, mahaba, itself, but rather the path, the stairs for the disciple to know whether he is accepted by the beloved or not. The meaning of the love of Allah to His creatures can be interpreted in two ways, the hidden love and the manifested love. To explain this, Sidi Shaykh referred to another hadith Qudsi. I was a hidden treasure, I love to be known, so I created the creation, so they know me. كنت كنزا مخفيا فأردت أن أعرف فخلقت الخلق فبي عرفوني. Sidi Shaykh explained that Allah loves all His creatures, because if He didn't love them, He wouldn't create them. This is the hidden love of Allah to His creatures, and this is represented with the first part of the hadith, I was a hidden treasure. كنت كنزا مخفيا. On the other hand, the manifested love of Allah to His creatures is represented by the last part of the hadith. So they know me. فَبِي عَرَفُونِي. Because one can be created by Allah, but die without knowing Him, and the love of Allah to him stays hidden. But if Allah created him and made him apparent on earth, he must search for the manifested, appearing love of Allah to him, and this love can be reached only with beauty, jamal, and peace, salam. When one reaches the apparent love of Allah, he realizes the meaning of the hadith Qudsi of, and my servant continues to draw near to me with supererogatory acts of worship until I love him. When I love him, I become his hearing with which he hears. This person becomes only willing to hear from Allah. Sidi Shaykh explained that there are levels of hearing from Allah. The first level is when one only loves to hear the Quran and prayers on the Prophet ﷺ. This is the first category, and the disciple should live this in his suluk. The second category is the one who hears everything from Allah, even if the speaker is talking about something else. Sidi Shaykh gave an example to explain more. A person is working in the souk or in the market and hears a song where the singer says, "Oh, my beloved." The singer is talking about the person he or she loves, but the person who hears with the hearing of Allah is present with his beloved and thinks of what he heard as a message from Allah to him. Sidi Shaykh continued and said that there is a higher level of hearing from Allah in which the person receives what is called hawatif, or phones. He hears directly from Allah, and this is what is called karama, or miracle, as it goes beyond the norm. The next part of the hadith of the love of Allah to His servant is, I become His sight with which He sees. Sidi Shaykh explained that the first level in seeing with the sight of Allah is that the person hates and refuses to see something that does not please Allah. For example, when men fear staring at women and vice versa, because they fear to fall in something that does not please Allah. And this is why Allah allowed the first glance, but not the second. The first glance is for you, and the second glance is on you. This is from an apparent perspective, and everyone who does this has ajr, the reward. But in esoteric realities, haqa'iq, the first glance is for you means to see the object as an object, but in the second glance, the person should be present with Allah and see the object as the manifestation of Allah, the creation of Allah, and the light of Allah. It's not that there is a contradiction between jurisprudence and esoteric realities, but there is a complementarity as one completes the other. So that was all for this مذاكرة. الحمد لله الذي هدانا لهذا وما كنا لنهتدي لولا أن هدانا الله. لقد جاءت رسل ربنا بالحق. اللهم لك الحمد، اللهم لك الحمد، اللهم لك الحمد. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد كما صليت على سيدنا إبراهيم وعلى آل سيدنا إبراهيم، وبارك على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد كما باركت على سيدنا إبراهيم وعلى آل سيدنا إبراهيم في العالمين إنك حميد مجيد. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون، والسلام على المرسلين، والحمد لله رب العالمين.